This is Startup Biz Coach Radio, formerly known as Mornings with Terry, and we're empowering entrepreneurs right from the start. Find us at thestartupbizcoach.com every morning at 10 a.m. Eastern with your host, Terry Clay. Are you ready to get this business started?
Hey, this is Terry Clay, and I am back with another episode of the Startup Biz Coach Radio.
Hey, this is Terry Clay, and I am back with another episode of the Startup Biz Coach Radio. Yeah. So we are back on the call yet another day. So excited to be back on this call. We do this call every single day, Monday through Friday, right from the blog, thestartupbizcoach.com. And, like I always tell you all, sometimes you may be checking us out on Speaker, on Stitcher, on iTunes, YouTube. I mean, we're all over the place, but we like to lead you back to the startupbizcoach.com because a lot of times we have a blog post that goes along with the recording, and we just want you all to be able to get the most value from the call. And as you know, we interview people, successful entrepreneurs every single day, Monday through Thursday, and today is no different. And as we do on the Startup Biz Coach Radio, we allow our guests to introduce themselves. So please introduce yourself, tell us who you are and what you do.
Awesome. My name is Desiree Lee. I'm the author of Inmate 1142980, the Desiree Lee story. And soon I am the author of Pass the Mustard Seed, which is 30 contributing authors on passing the mustard seed on how they became successful. Also, I do travel nationwide, sharing my stories in hope of preventing other teenagers from experiencing the hardships of making careless decisions, and also reuniting or building up the family dynamics between a parent and child.
Wow, that's good. So, for somebody who does not know your story, will you tell us a little bit about your story and how what story you're telling when you're going around the world?
Yeah, sure. Awesome. Well, it's very important to make decisions, and our decisions shape not just our future, but also our reality that we see. And during high school, at 17 years old, I had a 3.8 GPA. I had 2 basketball scholarships as well, and my mother, a single parent, was trying very hard to keep me on the right track. But as a teenager, I just felt so urged to just fit in. Well, 2 weeks after I graduated from high school, because I didn't take heed to what my mother was saying and what my youth leaders were saying, I was incarcerated for 11 counts of armed robbery and 11 counts of armed robbery and 5 counts of aggravated assault. And at 17 years old, I was facing 135 years in prison. And now that I'm released from prison, how I wish I would have listened to my mother. And I also came across some really convicted felon background limitations, and it wasn't until someone just believed in me and said hello and gave me the steps to take to pull myself out of that dark place so that I can now say that, I'm successful again and I can live on my own 2 feet. And so I share my story to just prevent others from going in, encourage those who might feel like they're by themselves while they're going through, and to show people that God can still make a way out of no way. And how am I so certain of this? It's because I went from an inmate to now an inspiration.
That is awesome. And that is good and the fact that you're traveling around the world telling your stories is powerful, and I know that lives are being changed. And so now you're an author. And is your first book about your story, or tell us a little bit about your book?
Yes, absolutely. My first book is about my story, and I wrote it on maybe an 8th grade, 9th grade level, for the reason being so that teenagers, young tweens and teenagers and young adults can really get the fullness of that book. But also, I read a lot of self-help books trying to pull myself out. And I'm like, where is the secret? How do I get out of here? What is step 1, step 2, step 3? That's what I need to know. And so in my book, I also share how I came out. step one. I had to imagine so intensely that my imagination became my reality. Step two, I used what I had until I can do better. I had a computer. I knew how to read. I knew how to write. And I had to create my imagination. It's like Muhammad Ali says, I knew I was great before I was. I had to imagine every single day, but also take the steps that will create my reality. And once I used what I had until I can do better, I became what I initially imagined. And those are the steps that I had to take. And it wasn't easy, but that's what I explain in my book to those who might feel like they're in a dark place and they need someone to help pull them out.
Yeah, that's powerful. I love it. I spoke with another author on yesterday he'll actually be on the call later this week, and he actually talked about seeing things or speaking things as though they're not, as though they are, and having a different vision. So I like that you kind of co-signed on that you have to just keep seeing it even before it's really into fruition. So I like that.
Absolutely. So, sometimes it's hard. I'm sorry, Terry.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
Sometimes it's hard to do that, because when I was in that place, I was like, well, everybody is speaking those things that be not as though they were affirmations. And I'm like, okay, well, I need food in my house. Can I just say I need food in my house and then it's there? I was one of those young entrepreneurs thinking that way, but no, it is true. You just can't just speak it. You have to take steps, do the best you can. I committed myself an hour a day. One time, being an author was just a thought. It was just an idea. It was my imagination. And I said, okay, well, how do I start? And I was like, well, how can I get this done? And I just committed an hour a day. If I just write an hour a day, some days are more than an hour, but if I do an hour a day, then the next day, eventually, my book will be finished,
Right. I like that. You did an hour a day, and those are two points that you committed an hour a day. So anybody can, even if it's not a book, it could be something to do with their business. If they just do that commitment of 1 hour a day or 2 hours a day, their dreams will come to fruition. Because not only will you be able to speak those things that are not as though they are, you have to kind of take some actions with them. I tell them this all the time, that sometimes you can do the stuff, but you got to take action. So not only did you speak the things that was not, you also took an action and a commitment of an hour a day, which brought your dream to fruition. So I like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell them about your second book that it actually is coming out soon. I can't remember when is the date.
Yes, it'll be out on February 21st, and your audience can go to my website at dailyinspires.com to pre-order this book. The title of the book is called Past the Mustard Seed, and it stems from one of my situations where in my first book, when I met the lady with the mustard seed, basically she gave me this seed and told me that's all the faith that I need for God to move in my life. Well, at the time, like I said before, I was like, well, that's all the faith I have left. You mean to tell me I could just believe and then it happened? And so when she gave me the seed, she also gave me mustard seeds. I'm not sure, but with your audience, you have to speak to those mountains. So when I start speaking and saying my affirmations, then the universe, everything created by God, it started to align with the words that I was speaking. So if you want to be a millionaire, somebody says, who are you? Say, I am a millionaire. If you want to be an entrepreneur and you have your own business, even though you might not be making income right now, just say, I am a successful business owner, and then eventually it will come. It's this, in Past the Mustard Seed, it all tells you stems from their seasons of preparation. Their season of preparation. You have to prepare yourself for the opportunity, and they share that with every reader, because the opportunities are going to come, but are you going to be ready? If someone said right now, I got $10,000, Terry, I want to invest in your radio show right now. Can you show me your business plan? And some people was, oh, well, I got to get it together. And then we're running around with our heads cut off. But in the time that you didn't have any business, that you sat there and you said, okay, I got my business plan, I got my press release, I got my photos, I got all this stuff. When the opportunity presents itself, you'll be prepared. And that's the best feeling in the world, is being ready.
So you have to be ready for the opportunity in advance.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm excited because these are 30 other successful, entrepreneurs, speakers, authors, and even a 16-year-old little girl, teenager that has a non-bullying initiative to speak to the teenagers, too, as well, that we all came by faith. It's not our faith. It's not our hands that move mountains. It's our faith.
Wow, that's good. I love it. So the book will come out, you said February 21st?
Yes, February 21st. I'm so excited. I can't wait for everybody to get this book because I've been blessed reading it and editing it and sending it out. I've been very, very blessed to hear the stories. And I'm just grateful that they didn't give up while they were going through.
Yes. I mean, everybody goes through something. We talk about this on this call every day. Actually, I always ask the question. I guess we can go into that question of how did you handle failures in your business? I know you had we had the difficulty about going to prison, but how did you handle failure in your business? And then how did you turn that failure into success?
Oh, wow. That's a very good question. How did I handle failure in my business? Well, to be honest with you, I didn't handle it by myself. I had mentors. I had people. I remember when I saw you and Sue Ham on Facebook. I used to follow people who are success. I said, you know what? If Terry can do it, I can do it, knowing from your story of where you came from. And I said, okay, well, everybody, and I'm not sure if your audience is familiar with it, but, it's like, okay, well, she can do it, I can do it too. If Sue Ham can do it, I can do it too.
Right.
And I didn't handle it by myself. My mentors, they pulled me up. Desiree, there's someone counting on you. And that's how I really handle it, what pushed me forward, because it was other people that needed to hear my story, teenagers, or either somebody who felt that they were in that dark place that might need to hear it. And if I give up, then they would never get that tool or that encouragement for them to keep going. So I took myself out of the failure and said that it's not about me and put other people in front of me, and that's why I kept going. And I said, you know what? Where I'm at today, everything that I went through, hungry, all the no's, all the rejections, it's worth it when a teenager comes to me and says, thank you, Miss Lee, for believing in me. Everything I went through, it made it my failure worth it. And that's how I handle it. And how did I turn it into success? Well, I said, if these kids knew what I was going through right now as a convicted felon, maybe they wouldn't make the same decision. And being a convicted felon, we tend to want to hide our mistakes. We want to hide it. And I said, man, if I knew this part at 17, if I knew this part about making a bad decision, maybe I wouldn't have made that bad decision, and maybe my future would have took a different course. And so that's how I turned what was so ugly that I was trying to hide into motivation and inspiration for others to gain insight from, so they don't have to experience the same hardship. My brother told me one time the difference between a wise man and a fool. A fool learns from their own mistakes, but a wise man learns from the mistakes of others. So I intentionally go out and see what mistakes other people made, and that's what I share, so that no other entrepreneur, they can hop them hurdles without, going through the hardships that a lot of us go through as a startup. Like you said, like with the failure, how do I get myself back on my feet? How do I turn this into income? How? Well, this is how.
Right.
Get your mentors, people who believe in you. How do you select those people? People who are going on the same journey and saying that you can do it too.
Right.
And that's the first how. The first how-to on how to deal with your failures. Put someone in front of you. Because, when your kids need food in the house, you'll find some money. You'll sell something. your buy
Right.
something to feed your kids, and that's the motivation. That's how I dealt with my